السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. اللهم انفعنا بما علمتنا وعلمنا ما ينفعنا وزدنا علما. آمين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Inshallah, today we'll be starting from the chapter of wudu. So we finished tahara, the different waters, istinja, and we're gonna go into wudu now, inshallah. And wudu, as we all know, ablution, that we perform wudu before we do any ritualistic actions, or ibadah, salah, tawaf, reading the Quran. For certain things we need wudu, right? We need to be pure, and the basis of wudu is actually from the Quran in Surah Ma'idah, ayah number 6, the one I read in Salah actually. Ya ayyuhal ladhina amanu idha qumtum ila as-salah faghsilu wujuhakum wa aydiyakum ila al-marafiq wamsahu bi ru'usikum wa arjulakum ila al-ka'bayn. So till there, that's the basis of wudu. That from there, the scholars, they derive the obligatory or the fara'id of wudu. That without these four, without covering these four things, that you cannot perform wudu. Your wudu cannot be complete. So we're gonna jump right into that, inshallah. But before that, wudu literally means that to purify oneself, or to be clean. Nadafa, to be to be nadif, to be clean, right? And in the shar'an, or according to like sharia, it means to make wash the limbs that are obligatory to wash, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in Surah Ma'idah. So the scholars, they start off usually, it doesn't matter if it's this book or any other book, when the scholars start off, they usually start off with the fara'id, the obligatory steps of wudu, right? And as derived from the verse of the Quran in Surah Ma'idah. So there are four pillars or four fara'id of wudu. Number one is al-awwal ghaslul wajhi, right? To wash the face. So in the Quran, Surah Ma'idah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala starts off by saying faghsilu wujuhakum, that wash your face, right? And what does wash really mean? Wash means that when you wash a limb, or whether it's your face, your hands, that you wash it enough, or you put enough water on it that there are droplets coming down from it. If there are no droplets coming down, that means you didn't wash it properly. At least at least even one drop, right? So which we usually do, that if you're washing in the sink, that some droplets come off. So but the opposite is like just taking wudu and like letting the water come off and just patting it. So that won't be wudu. That will be more of a masah, right? Which we'll get to, inshallah. So make sure that droplets are coming down from those limbs. That's what ghusl means, right? To wash it. Ghusl wajhi. The first one is to wash the face, right? And the author, he mentions what the diameter or the perimeter of the face is. What is included in the face. So he says وَحَدُّهُ طُولًا, in according to length, the face is مِن مَبْدَأِ سَطْحِ الْجَبْهَةِ إِلَى أَسْفَلِ الذَّقْنِ, from the beginning or the top of the forehead, the jabha, his forehead, until under the chin, right? Asfal al-dhaqan. Dhaqan is chin. So that's lengthwise. That's the face, right? So basically from the hairline till under the chin, right? So for example, this won't be like, this part will not be wudu. That you don't have to wash this part. It's not part of the face, right? So it's saying to wash the face. So this part is not part of the face. So under the chin, right underneath the chin, wherever the chin stops. And whether you have a hairline, or if you don't have hair there, then you just look wherever your jabha, your forehead starts. That's lengthwise. And then breadthwise, or the width of it, is ma baina shahmatayil udhanayn, that between the two earlobes. So from this earlobe to this earlobe, that's the width, right? And then we got the length. So that's what's included in the face, to wash that. So you don't have to wash like behind you. This is according to the Hanafi madhab, that you don't have to wash behind the ears. And most of the scholars say that. Only maybe one or two that say that you have to wash your ears as well. But we're talking about the fara'id. We're not talking about the other sunan or the mustahabbat. There's only the fara'id, that what you need to do, or what you need to complete in order for your wudu to be complete, basically. So that's the face. Number one is washing the face, and we talked about the parameter, or the perimeter of the face. Second is ghuslu yadayhi ma'a mirfaqay, to wash the hands until the elbow. So فَاغْسِلُوا وُجُوهَكُمْ وَأَيْدِيَكُمْ إِلَى الْمَرَافِقِ, right? Just like in the verse. To wash the hands all the way till the elbows. Number three is وَالثَّالِث, which is غَسْلُ رِجْلَيْهِ مَعَ كَعْبَيْهِ, to wash the ankles to wash the feet with the ankles, right? Including the ankles, right? So you have that. That's number 3, right? To make sure you wash, like, every single spot must be, wet, right? The Prophet ﷺ says in a hadith, he says he saw someone making wudu, and then he saw that their heels were dry. The heels were dry. The bottom of their foot was dry, and he said, "Waylun lil a'qabi minan nar." That woe to these heels that are from the fire, that are from amongst the hellfire. That if a spot of is left dry, then your wudu is not, basically, he's just cursing them that the wudu is not complete. And then if your wudu is not complete, you can't really do anything else. Your salah won't be complete. Your tawaf won't be complete, or whatever action the things that you need wudu for, they won't be complete, right? And he said, asbighul wudu'a, that complete your wudu properly. That make sure you make wudu. That not just 1, 2, 3 seconds. Come on, make sure you check. Sometimes when we wash our hands, we don't check, and then sometimes this part is dry. Sometimes our heels are dry. So make sure before you leave the wudu area or your bathroom, make sure you're checking, like, in the mirror or something, like, hey, is this dry or not? So things like that. So we have to make sure that every single inch of our body, or those limbs that need to be washed, are wet. And we're gonna talk more about that. Inshallah, it's gonna come up as well. So that's number 3, to wash the feet with the ankles. And number 4, the last one, is mashu rubi ra'sihi, right? And according to the Hanafi madhab, you have to make masah, which masah means not the ghusl. That you make you don't have to, like, no droplets have to come off. You just have your hands wet, and you could just pat your head, basically, or just make masah of your head. So according to the Hanafi madhab, you make masah of 1/4 of your head, right? And according to Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, Hanabila, and the Maliki, they say the full head. And according to Imam Shafi, the least amount is 3 hairs. So anything, you just do like this, I'm sure you'll cover 3 hairs easily if you just touch your head, right? So that's the least amount. You could do the full head too for Imam Shafi, it doesn't matter. For Imam Hanafi too, Imam Abu Hanifa, if you do the full head as well, it won't matter. You're not gonna get a sin for it, right? So, but just what the madhab states is that at least 1/4 of the head. So you just like 1/4 is like when you go up this much, it's like 1/4 of your head. So those are the 4 fara'id of wudu, that you wash your face, and we talked about what's included in the face. You wash your hands till the elbows, and make sure every part is wet and has touched water. And you wash your feet till the ankles, or if you were to go in order, it would be you make masah next, and then you make the last will be the washing the feet, including the ankles, right? Those are the 4 fara'id of wudu. And then the author, he talks about the reason of wudu, like why do we make wudu? What's the point of making wudu, right? Obviously we know that we need to make wudu in order to pray our salah, or make tawaf, or touch the Quran, and and it's always good to be in a purified state, right? But he mentions that وَسَبَبُهُ إِسْتِبَاحَةُ مَا لَا يَحِلُّ إِلَّا بِهِ, that the reason of wudu is to in order to perform the ritualistic ibadat, it makes those lawful. That salah will be obligatory upon you when you have wudu. If you don't have wudu, that means you can't really pray unless you have some excuse that you're traveling and there's no water, or tayammum was always there as well. We're gonna talk about tayammum inshallah, but you can't really pray without water, right? So the reason for making wudu is that when you make wudu, as soon as you make wudu, then all those things are lawful for you now. You can go pray now. You can go touch the Quran now. You can go make tawaf now. Right? Anything that requires wudu, you can go do that now. And without wudu, you can't do those things. إِلَّا بِهِ وَهُوَ حُكْمُهُ الدُّنْيَوِي. And that's the hukm of in this worldly life, that in order to do these ibadat, we need to perform wudu. وَحُكْمُهُ الْأُخْرَوِي الثَّوَابُ فِي الْآخِرَةِ. And the reason why, or the hikam, or the hikmah behind it, is that we get thawab in the hereafter, right? That we're making wudu, we're getting thawab, right? If we're making wudu for the Prophet ﷺ, he says that person who makes wudu and then performs 2 rakats, then it's like all of his sins are forgiven, all of his minor sins are forgiven. So just making wudu is just you get a reward for making wudu. You get a reward just for just washing yourself, just purifying yourself, which is pretty amazing. That if you think about it, that just for washing, just for purifying yourself, you get reward. Even like when we're eating and stuff, the Prophet ﷺ says to make, in a hadith he says to make wudu before you eat and after you eat. And the hadith, it doesn't mean that you make full wudu before you eat and after you eat, but it just means to wash your hands. So just by washing your hands, we get reward for that, just for eating. So for example, if you don't use your hands to eat, like like many non-Muslims or many Muslims as well, they use the utensils, then they're not washing their hands. That means they're not getting that reward. So they're missing out on easy reward, easy thawab, right? So it's so beautiful that our deen incorporates all of that. That just for eating we get reward. When the smallest things, just saying salam when you walk in the home, you get reward, So the smallest things we get reward. So that's what the benefit is in the akhirah. That athawabu fil akhirah. And the Prophet ﷺ, he says in in a hadith in Bukhari that inna ummati yud'auna yawm al-qiyamah ghurran muhajjalin. That my ummah on the day of Qiyamah they will be called by the angels. The angels will call my ummah ghurran muhajjalin. That those people that we will be known as ghurran muhajjalin when we perform wudu. And ghurran muhajjalin means that whenever we make wudu, those parts that we make wudu on, the limbs, those will be shining on the day of Qiyamah. So in order to identify the ummah of the Prophet ﷺ, they will look out for the ghurran muhajjalin. That okay, where are the ghurran muhajjalin? Where are the ghurran muhajjalin? And it literally means ghurra means like the white spot on a horse's forehead. And muhajjalin means something that's bright, something that's illuminated. So the angels will be looking out for the people of the Prophet ﷺ by looking at if their limbs, their hands, their face, their forehead, their feet, are they glowing? If they're glowing, that means that's the ummati of the Prophet. Bring him into Jannah, right? So we'll be known as ghurran muhajjalin. And the Prophet ﷺ says, in the same hadith, he says, فَمَنِ اسْتَطَاعَ مِنْكُمْ أَن يُطِيلَ غُرَّتَهُ فَلْيَفْعَلْ. So from amongst you, those people that that can increase that ghurra, that illumination, try your best, right? He says, so make wudu as much as you can, not to waste water, but if you're to refresh your wudu before every salah, or use the bathroom. As soon as you use the bathroom, make wudu. Don't just leave the bathroom without making wudu. Just always to stay in the purified state, so that we can be identified as ghurran muhajjalin, right? So it's a very big honor for the ummah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then we talk about the shurut, the conditions of wudu being wajib, right? That wudu will be wajib on certain categories of people, right? Number one is al-aqlu, that he has to be sane, that he has to have aql, that he has to understand things. A person, he or she, they have to understand things. Number two is wal-bulugh, they have to be mature, they have to reach the age of maturity. The Prophet ﷺ says in a hadith that rufi al-qalamu an thalath, that the pen has been lifted from three types of people, right? Pen has been lifted, meaning that they won't be held accountable because of these three reasons, right? They won't be held accountable on the day of Qiyamah for what they do or say. So rufi al-qalamu an thalath, the pen has been lifted, that they won't be held accountable. Three types of people. He says, and in naimi hatta yastayqidh, that person who's sleeping until he wakes up. So when you're sleeping, whether you're dreaming about wrong things, it doesn't matter. You won't be held accountable because you're dreaming. You're in a state of unconsciousness, right? So an-na'im hatta yastayqidh, a sleeping person until he wakes up. Whatever happened in that time while he was asleep, he won't be held accountable for that thing. Whether he's sleep talking, he's maybe swearing or making a ghiba, he won't be held accountable for that because he's in a state of sleep. Number two, وَعَنِ الصَّغِيرِ حَتَّى يَكْبُرْ, and that child until he grows up. So a child, if he does any kind of sin, they won't be held accountable for that because they're still a young child. They're still, they don't have that understanding of Islam yet or of anything yet. And number three is وَعَنِ الْمَجْنُونِ حَتَّى يَعْقِلْ أو يَفِيقْ, and that person who is not sane, basically, that insane person, or that person that doesn't have that does not have his senses, right, until he comes into his senses or until he recovers from that sanity, right? So same thing, al-aql and bulugh, that you need to have intellect, you need to have understanding, and you need to be mature in order for wudu to be wajib. So if you see kids praying at 5 or 6 years old, they can pray without wudu, it's fine. They're not gonna be held accountable. Number three is Islam, they have to be Muslim, right? So obviously you have to be in the state of Islam, as a Muslim, following and understanding the Islam. So then wudu will be wajib upon you, right? Number four is وَقُدْرَةٌ عَلَى اسْتِعْمَالِ الْمَاءِ الْكَافِي, and you have to have enough water to make wudu. So for example, you have a bottle of water and you're stranded somewhere, and that's the only bottle of water you have. So either and you're really hungry or you're really thirsty or you might die. So you won't use that water for wudu. You're going to use that water for your other needs, your life, or maybe you're in a state of impurity. You're going to use that water to get that impurity away, or to drink that water, and you'll suffice with tayammum or whatever it is, right? And if you have impurity as well, you'll just make tayammum and pray. So only if you have enough water. If you have enough water for both, and alhamdulillah, water is not a problem nowadays. So it shouldn't be a problem to make wudu or not, right? But if you are stranded somewhere and you have only a bottle of water, then you'll choose between for your own life or for making for any kind of hadath, impurity that you have. Number five is wujud al hadath, and if you're in a state of impurity, basically, if you're in a state of impurity, wudu is wajib upon you now. That you use the bathroom, now wudu is wajib, right? When you didn't use it, like for example, if you have wudu already, wudu is not wajib upon you. So to make wudu upon another wudu, it's pretty useless unless you're doing it to refresh, before salah. But if you're just sitting at home and you already have wudu and you're like, oh, I'm gonna go make wudu again for no reason, then that's kind of israf as well. That's kind of wasting. But if you're gonna make wudu just to refresh before salah, then that's okay. Then you get that thawab. But just to make continuous wudu and wudu and wudu, when you already have wudu, then that's useless, right? So only when you have hadith, when you use the bathroom or something, or you vomit or you're bleeding somewhere, and or something happens, you have some kind of impurity on you, then wudu will be wajib upon you. Number 6 and 7 is when a woman is not in the state of menstruation or the postnatal bleeding. So when they're not in that, then wudu will be wajib. And obviously the opposite is that if you're in that, they won't make wudu, they won't pay salah, they won't do any kinds of ibadah, right? And number 8, wadiqul waqt, and when there is no time left. Basically, back in the old days, they didn't have like taps and water available in their homes. They don't have to go out and look for water, sometimes. So when the time for salah is coming near and is close, then you have to make wudu. Meaning that salah, if there's like 5-10 minutes of salah, then you would have to go and make wudu and pray your salah, obviously, right? And obviously it's better to make wudu before and pray your salah when the time comes in. But back in the old days when they wouldn't have water, and then salah time is gonna come or it's gonna go away, it's gonna finish, then they would quickly have to make wudu or make tayammum if they didn't have that water, right? So that doesn't really apply to us nowadays. And then so those are the 8 types of things, or the 8 reasons why wudu will be wajib upon someone. And lastly, we'll just finish this real quick, inshallah. Shurutu sihhatil wudu, and the conditions to validate wudu, meaning that, okay, so we talked about the 4 fara'id, that you wash your face, your hands, your hands to your elbows, your feet to your ankles, and you make masah. So now you have to make sure that you do all these as well, these conditions, that you fulfill these conditions within those fara'id, right? Number 1 is umumul basharati bil ma'i tahur, that make sure you get every single spot of skin of the fara'id, the limbs, meaning your face, your hands, your elbows, your feet, your ankles. Make sure you get every single spot, not like one spot is empty or dry, right? So these are one of the conditions, that even though those are the fara'id, you still have to make sure and look back again. Did I get every spot? Did I get everything, right? And the scholars say that even if it's like a little pin, like a little needle space, that a spot on your hand or your feet that is dry, that means your salah will not be accepted, right? So you have to make sure. And one thing I forgot to mention actually over here, the fara'id, these are all one time, that you wash your face one time, you wash your hands one time, you wash your feet one time, right? So that's fara'id. So if you do it one time, that means the farida is complete, that you fulfill the fara'id. But if you want to do it 3 times, we're going to talk about that later as well, inshallah. That's sunnah, that you could do it 3 times. But if you do it, if you don't have enough water, or if you're running late, you want to do it 1 time, that's fine. As long as everything is wet, inshallah, and everything is covered, then it's fine to do it 1 time or 2 times, and 3 times is sunnah. But to exceed 3 times, then that becomes a waste as well. Then you shouldn't do it more than 3 times. The Prophet ﷺ, he did it 1 time, marra, he did it marratain, and he did it thalatha marrat, right? 3 times is sunnah. Right, and that's the way of the Prophet ﷺ. And obviously, a lot of us that we will learn from at a young age to do it 3 times. But just to a side note, that if you're running late, if you have limited water, then you could do it 1 time and it'll be fine. Right. Number 1 was umum al basharati bil ma'i tahur. That make sure every single spot is wet with water. Number 2, one qita'u ma yunafihi min haydin wa nifasin wa hadathin. That you have to make sure that the invalidators of wudu are not there. Basically, that if a woman is if she's menstruating or she has postnatal bleeding, that means she can't make wudu, right? So that's already that's a given. And wahadathin, you can't be in the state of impurity, or you can't be for example, using the bathroom. You can't urinate or defecate and make wudu at the same time. You can't be like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna save time. I'm gonna make wudu and use the bathroom at the same time. You can't do that, right? So while you're urinating, while you're using the bathroom, while you're bleeding, while you're vomiting, you can't make wudu at the same time, right? So that becomes it's very contradictory, right? So you have to wait till you use the bathroom, and then if you're in a state of impurity, obviously you will make wudu to fulfill your purity. You have a question?
Yeah. So sometimes in the middle, if someone, let's say, passes wind, then they would.
Yeah, they'll start the wudu again, inshallah. Yeah. So if you're using the bathroom when you pass wind, then you'll make wudu again. I think one Sahabi, I think Ibn Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhuma, I think he said that I think someone asked him like, what is hadath, right? I keep using the word hadath. It means impurity. So then I think someone asked him that mal hadath, right? What is a hadath? And he said the passing of wind. So he didn't even say urinating or anything. So even the smallest passing of wind will make you in a state of impurity, right? And obviously that means if you use the bathroom, or if you go to the bathroom or vomit or anything, that's gonna completely take you out from wudu, from the state of wudu, right? And then number 3, and the last one is وَزَوَالُ مَا يَمْنَعُ وُصُولَ الْمَاءِ إِلَى الْجَسَدِ كَشَمْعٍ وَشَحْمٍ. That you have to remove everything that will block wudu. Basically, you're making wudu on your skin. That's fine. You make wudu, your wudu is complete. But if something on your face or on your hands or your legs or your feet is blocking wudu, meaning if there's like thick Vaseline, or if there's paint, if there's glue, if there's the author gives examples of wax and grease. Back in the old days, maybe they were like making candles, or grease from meat and fat. So if that's on your limbs where you have to make wudu, and that's blocking the water from reaching their skin, that means you have to make sure that's gone first, right? So for example, nowadays we'll be like painters. They're painting and they have nail polish. For girls, nail polish, right? They can't make wudu with nail polish. They can't make wudu if someone has paint all over their arms or wherever it is. As long as it's not on the limbs of wudu, it's fine. If it's somewhere in the middle of your stomach, that's okay. You can still make wudu. Your wudu will be fine. But if it's on the limbs, like glue or paint or dough, anything like that will block water from getting on your skin, then you have to remove that before you can make wudu. Right? So those are the 3 conditions of making your wudu complete. That make sure you get every spot, no dry spots. Then you have to make sure that you're not in the condition, or you're not in the halat of using the bathroom or bleeding or vomiting in a full mouth, or for women menstruating or postnatal bleeding. And number 3 is if something's blocking wudu, or something's blocking the water of from reaching your limbs, then you have to remove that water in order for wudu to be sahih. So for example, like even though these are the fara'id, that you wash your face, your arms, if something's blocking it, that means you won't be fulfilling your fara'id. That means your wudu will not be sahih, and that means that will lead to your salah not being sahih. That will lead to your tawaf, or the reading Quran not being sahih, right? So just keep this in mind, inshallah. Just remember the main thing is the 4 fara'id. That you wash your face, you wash your arms till your elbows, your feet till your ankles, and you make masah. Whether it's a full head, whether it's a little bit, it'll be fine, inshallah. So those are the fara'id of wudu, and we'll continue with wudu, inshallah, on Thursday. The sunnah, and there's so many things about wudu, that the things that break wudu, the etiquettes of wudu. We'll talk about all that, inshallah, on Thursday. Jazakumullah khairan. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الكريم سبحان الله وبحمده سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم.